Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sam Danford here on January 3rd, 3 o'clock around in the afternoon here, and I'm back from break. I hope you guys had a good holiday and Happy New Year. We're in 2026. I'm going to be posting a lot more regular videos on my Patreon and then occasionally post these on YouTube as best as I can, but I'm definitely favoring the people who are on my Patreon. It's $5 a month. That's it. Buys me a coffee or two and helps me to keep these forecast updates going and give you the information and all of the good stuff. If you look, this is at the top of Grand Targhee, the summit and of Dreamcatcher there. And if you look out towards the valley, let's just show my cursor there. If you look out, you can really see the leading edge of our next storm system. Yes, that's right. We've got snow incoming, and I am so pleased to say that we've definitely got a pretty solid system. And so skiers rejoice, winter enthusiasts rejoice. Definitely some good news. Now, let's jump right into this. This is the current satellite image right now here around 3 p.m. This afternoon on a Saturday. And you can see, let me back this up real quick. And you can just see this storm system gearing up. This plume of moisture really was hitting areas outside of Los Angeles, Southern California. There was actually a mesoscale discussion, meaning something that the Weather Service wanted us to look at down there for heavy rain, downpours, rainfall rates up to an inch an hour. Now, that moisture plume is heading our way, which is great news. We should be benefiting pretty good from this overnight. We are going to have a good amount of snow showing up on our doorstep this evening later once the sun goes down, and that will continue through the night into Monday. And you can really see that storm. So I'm sure you guys saw those high clouds. If you look over the Tetons right here, there was high clouds really showing up this evening or this afternoon, and you could just see the clouds are really starting to gear up here. Currently on radar 2, we might as well just show you real quick the composite. You can see where that moisture is kind of hiding, Southern California, and that is all heading our way for sure here in Jackson, Wyoming. Now, this is a graphic from the National Weather Service. Let me just move it over here for a sec. So this shows us our high temperature today. I mean, we had a high temperature forecasted for 41 degrees. And actually, I just saw at the airport it was up to 43 to 44 degrees Fahrenheit. That gauge could have been in the sunshine, but still, it is definitely mild. I know a lot of people in the valley are just, a little panicked about how low snow we have in the valley. However, we are going to see some snow on the uptick, and it's going to feel like winter once again. Still milder than usual, but a little bit less of a crazy mild. I didn't get to do a forecast for the New Year's and all that time, but I did see that it was really going to warm up. So we are kind of through most of the mild temperatures. That is going to change overnight. We're going to come down a little bit. Definitely in the valley, we're going to be hovering a little bit between right at the freezing mark. So we may have a little bit of rain here and there, but I'm hopeful that we're going to see some measurable snow in the valley, and the Weather Service here in Riverton, Wyoming agrees with that. They're showing a general 2 to 4 in the valley, and this is expected snowfall tonight through Monday morning. And now you're seeing some reds and oranges, which that's actually about 24 inches. So we're seeing about like a foot to a foot and a half in the higher terrain, which I would agree with that. I think this moisture is going to come in with a vengeance and really is going to hit the Tetons hard. In the valley, we're definitely going to see some of this snow, but up high, we're really going to see big time snowfall, I think, over the next 24 hours. Now, let's look at the HRRR, which is our high resolution weather model. Really helpful. And this is, let me refresh this. This is kind of the radar look at the next 48 hours here. So if you look at this, we have a good slug of moisture coming in. This is actually around, so that's tonight here on Saturday night. That's probably more towards midnight. So later tonight for sure. You see that first slug of moisture really arrive. We get a little bit of a break and then more to come. And actually, some snow banding really sets up off of Nevada. I mean, this is like a best case scenario here on the HRRR model. It could be off. We don't want to take too much stock in the future radar looking exactly like this, but this is a great signal. And especially for the next 48 hours. I mean, it's just snow all around, and that we love to see that. Let's get a little bit zoomed in. Same HRRR, the most recent longer run here, the 18Z. And yeah, the next 48 hours here, look at that. There's that slug of moisture tonight. Later night hours, it's really going to hit the Tetons hard. And that will hopefully be bringing heavy snow. And then it sets up again in the early morning, or I guess mid-morning hours of Sunday. And it's going to continue all through Sunday, all the way to Monday. We're going to have continued snowfall. It'll fall more like showers, but look at that band that the HRRR is kind of picking up on. That is just funneling snow, heavy snow, straight into the Tetons. I'm hoping that the HRRR is on here, because this would be a great best case scenario for us to get the most snow. However, this is just a model, so it could be different. Now, let's quickly look at the temperatures. So temperature wise, we have been absolutely mild, like I've said at the top of the forecast. And today we were up to about 40, 42 in the valley. You see that reflected here, and that is showing. And then if I go ahead past that tonight, we do drop down, and that is a good news for this snow arriving this evening. We see that the temperature is going to come down a little bit in the valley, and that hopefully will reflect into a measurable snow in the valley, hopefully around 2 to 4 inches in the next 24 hours or so. That temperature holds. We've got about 30 to 33, so we're going to teeter maybe in some mixed precipitation here on the day Sunday, but we're going to hold that going. And then if we look ahead, so that's just kind of what we are at temperature-wise. But let's go into the upper levels here. This is the European model. I'm going to give it a refresh, and you can see in the upper levels, here's that system, that disturbance right there coming off the California coast, digging in, bringing us a nice trough here. This is a really great trough shape for measurable snow, that's for sure. Takes a little break coming into middle part of next week, but it kind of just continues. And honestly, I have to say, this is a great signal. It doesn't look like anything major storm after at least this first push, but consistent snow showers. And I think we can safely say that going into next week, we're just going to continue a snowy pattern. And it's going to be consistent snowfall, especially in the high terrain. I think the hose is going to be on a little bit. Nothing, again, I don't want to say this is going to be major snowfall, but I think we're going to really be able to stack up maybe a couple feet, maybe 3 feet in the highest terrain in the next, this kind of 5 or 6 day outlook. So let's just look at what does that look like on the European models precipitation kind of graphic here. You could see waves of snow. Here's that snow coming in tonight. Boom, that first wave, the second wave right there, and this is going actually into Sunday night. And it just kind of continues. And there you go. Look at the European model saying Tuesday, more snow in the Tetons and just kind of these waves. And then another system off the Pacific Northwest, bringing in another little wave of snow, and then another one, and another one, all the way into Friday. So into next weekend, I think we can safely say this entire week, during the weekdays, we're going to have consistent snow showers, I think is a good way to put it. And then this is far fantasy land, but so far we're seeing actually a signal for high pressure settling in and actually some colder temperatures after that snow, which would be nice to hold our snowpack, hopefully, and also measure up that snow, hopefully not have much more melting. So that's kind of just a head look. Let's just look at one other model, the GFS model, showing us very similar story here. Waves of snow and moisture. You see that? And that's just coming over the Tetons like that. And that system off the Pacific Northwest kind of peters out towards Friday the 9th, man, January 9th, 2026. I can't believe we're already here. And then a high pressure comes in. So that's where we're at. Let's look at snowfall totals. I know everyone's excited about snowfall totals. I know I love looking at this stuff. But we got to make sure we look at a couple models and kind of compare and contrast. You've heard me say this. I'm a broken record on this channel with this, but you know, sometimes people will put out one graphic of snowfall totals and be like, it's going to absolutely go off in blah, 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 blah. I think that we have to kind of look at multiple models, take the smart approach and really just compare and contrast and see what would be the low end, what would be the high end, and make a guess in between. So let's look at that. The HRRR, as we saw, remember that banding we saw in the radar picture? I mean, this is reflecting it in the total snowfall. If we look at this, we're seeing a decent, this is the HRRR, so it only goes out 48 hours, but this is going into Monday midday, and we're seeing a decent snowfall drop. I mean, look at that, pasting in the Tetons. And if I grab my little, picker thing here up in the high terrain, HRRR is saying 24 inches. That's 2 feet up high, and then a solid maybe 1.5 feet in most of the other mid-level terrain. In town, maybe Snow King area, maybe getting up to 1 foot up there. And then in the low-lying areas down in town, I would say 5 to 6 inches according to the HRRR. Now, let's look at a different model. Let's look at the 3-kilometer NAM, which goes out further. This goes 60 hours. And we look at that, this is showing us a little less. So if we're going to Monday midday, where is that? There's Monday midday. We are still seeing about the 16 in the highest terrain. This is interesting. It's kind of showing actually more over the areas on the pass. 3-kilometer NAM can sometimes be a little strange, but this is only saying 4, maybe 3 in the valley. And then European model, which is a further out, lower resolution. If we go to, let's go to Monday midday, like our metric. Monday 8. So if we go to there, we're seeing this is not picking up on the valley as much, and we're just seeing a general like 6 to 10 inches everywhere. I think we're going to see more localized. I think the high resolution is doing a lot better job showing us localized higher terrain. So temperature wise, let's just look quickly at the extended outlook here. We are seeing that warm pocket right now today here on Saturday. That erodes slightly as this moisture comes in, which is great news. I want to keep seeing this. I don't want to see an uptrend in our temperatures. None of us do. So hopefully we're remaining actually by Wednesday around the high 20s, which would be great for the valley, and then even cooler up top. So we're going to see some great powder snow. And then if we go ahead to that kind of Friday mark that we were talking about when the snow kind of shuts off, we actually see a pocket of pretty cold air come seeping down with that high pressure. Right there, you can see it. And that hangs out for the daytime, and we're going to see sunshine and some negative temps back. So we will keep an eye out. That is kind of our extended outlook. Now, speaking of extended outlook, 6 to 10 day here on the Climate Prediction Center is showing a somewhat average, I would say. This is a lot more above average over in the East Coast. So we've kind of got a little bit of a pattern flip. And then precipitation wise, we're actually unfortunately looking at below normal coming in, but I would not take too much stock into this because clearly San Francisco and all those areas are getting clobbered right now. This is the 6 to 10 day outlook. This is further out projection. We'll keep an eye on this. I don't want to get too hung up on that, but it could be a little bit of a drier pattern. Again, top of the let's just look at cameras real quick. Top of Grand Targhee, skiers having fun out there. Plenty of snow to be had. Let's see at Dornans right now. You can see that low valley snow even in the park. Just really not much. Normally by this time of year, we would have a lot of the sagebrush covered in a lot of ways, but we've kind of been here before somewhat, so we'll just hope that we keep this pattern going. Same thing, top of Snow King. When you look over the valley, you're like, wow, that's dry, but the mountains certainly have a good amount of snow. And I think we are going to revisit this picture on maybe tomorrow, but maybe Monday, and it'll be a much different looking picture. So you guys all enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon.